It had the great stunt cast. You all remember Billy Burton and Walter Scott and Tony Epper, Patty Elder. They're one of the great stunt women of all time. But all the boys coming back, I remember her walking along a 12-foot ledge on a wall. Everybody was pretty well crocked, and she just said, "Catch me, boys." All the stuntmen ran on her and grabbed her. I thought, wow, I've never seen anything like that in my life.
Let me introduce our next guest, an artist, most prolific actor who started on stage, in films, Strawberry Statement, a radical movie that I remember watching in college, and he played a student who got swept up in the anti-war movement because there were the girls in the anti-war movement. And that's his character said, well, I'm going to go and join this group. And he initiated more riots. It was a powerful movie for the time. That was in the midst of the Vietnam War, really an important film. And he followed that with a film Clue likes to call the Ratboy movie, which would be Willard, with the great Ernest Borgnine. And I'm talking about Bruce Davison. Bruce, could you come up here and join us?
My God, look at the rats.
You made me hate myself. Well, I like myself now.
Thank you. I just wanted to say first off, things may seem unimportant, but it wasn't unimportant to me to be watching you, Clue, on television when I was growing up and realizing, you know, I know people hate to say that, we are from the same generation, but I saw there's an actor who's telling the truth and knows what he's doing, and everything around him didn't seem to be as truthful as you were. And I always remember that. Everything you've ever done, I believed. No matter what crap we may have been in over the years, you know, you always stood out like a sore thumb. So thank you for that. Yeah. And that was important to me. So, well, following you is going to be a tough act, though, as Mr. Boxleitner said.
Let's clean it up, though, okay?
All right, well,
you know?
I'm going to have to.
Well, I'll tell you one of the other great movies, and we were talking about people who had been stars and who started to make Westerns in the 50s. They became identified with Westerns. One actor who won an Academy Award for Elmer Gantry, Burt Lancaster, the great Burt Lancaster, in the 70s made a series of very, very strong Western movies. Valdez is Coming in the 70s. And Lawman with Lee J. Cobb. Apache was in the 50s, another great movie directed by Robert Aldrich, who directed ULZANA'S RAID, which also starred Bruce.
Yeah, there he is. This was Burt, and this is me. It was a great film. It was actually made as a parallel to the Vietnam War by Robert Aldrich, using all the old John Ford characters, the stock characters. And I was the young shaved-tail lieutenant, and old Burt was the wrangler, and we were chasing Apaches deeper and deeper into the big muddy.
Leave that body where it is.
Needs burying.
I want the Apache scout to do that.
Damn it, Lieutenant. You're not making any sense.
Now look, Mr. McIntosh, that used to be a white man. Like yourself, a white man.
But I got the part by walking into Robert Aldrich and saying to him, Mr. Aldrich, I can't tell you how important the Sand Pebbles was to me. And he said, well, thank you. Robert Weiss made that film. But kid, you're just dumb enough, you have the part. So that's how I got that part. And I was standing in my first two-shot, standing in fear with Burt Lancaster. The first shot we were on horseback. We had 30 seconds to grab this 1 minute scene. We were only going to get a two-shot of it. There's 50 cavalry behind us in the painted desert in Nogales, Arizona. with the sun fading really quick, and we're in a two-shot like this, and it's all about he says, we gotta camp here. And I'm saying, no, we gotta go after them. They're after. He says, well, Patchy's gonna steal a horse and ride it 50 miles, get off it when it's dead, eat it, and steal another. Ain't no way you're gonna beat that, son. And I'm saying, well, I hate to think of people in jeopardy. And he says, well, it's best not to. And rides off. That's the shot. So we're standing there in the two-shot, and he says, so, son, where are you from? You're going to NYU. Yeah, I went to a branch. Nick Cravat, who was his trapeze partners in the back, he said, we had a branch at Hell's Kitchen there. And he starts to do this. We're in a two-shot, and he starts to inch his horse back here like that. Now, who are you going to watch in the shot, in a two-shot like that? She says, where do you live, son? I said, I live at 72nd Street. Oh, yeah, Shelley Winters had a wonderful place there. She's a hell of a broad. You ever see her in the 50s? Oh, what a knockout. We had a little thing going then back then with the horseback. And I don't know, but just instinctively, I thought, oh, all right, I'm going to move my horseback too. So I started moving my horseback like that too. And he's over there, and he says, son, this is a hell of a country. Isn't this the most beautiful country you've ever seen? And the young lieutenant is not as innocent as he seems. Are you, you little son of a bitch? Which Robert Aldrich says, what the hell are you guys moving out of the shot for? Get up on your marks. It had the great stunt cast. You all remember Billy Burton and Walter Scott and Tony Epper, Patty Elder, Jerry Gatlin. All of them were in the film, and we had great times that got out of hand in Nogales, Arizona, and a lot of bloodshed left in the way there. But it was a great experience and the best time I ever had in my life. As a 23-year-old kid chasing Apaches all over Nogales, riding the cavalry with Burt Lancaster. I thought life was going to be like that all the way, but that was the best. But at the end of shooting, he said, son, come over here by my rock. I got to give you some advice. You're a hell of an actor, goes without saying, but I'd be remiss if I didn't give you some advice. You don't use your rehearsal time properly. You try to give a performance for the sound man. You give another performance for the man laying the marks over there, and you certainly give a performance for any girl extras. Comes time to your close-up, you've shot your wad. It's like making love to a woman, or whoever you may make love to, I don't know. You can't try to come all at once. You have to think of foreplay. You have a little bit of an inner thigh here, you build, you take your time, you save it for the close-up. Save it for the close-up, son. Work with what you got. I got the pearly whites, the baby blues, I work with you. And that has always stuck with me. This is great advice. Great advice from Burt.
Did you ever see Burt after that?
Yes, I would see him occasionally on the path at USC, where there's a jogging course, the park course there. And I'd pass him just before he had his last stroke. I saw him there on the park course, and we sort of caught up. By that time, he was saying to me, yes, Bruce Williamson, you're a hell of an actor, I remember you. But I would see him there then. And he was a force to be reckoned with. He was quite a powerful man. And we had a great time, over the years. He was the kind of guy that would scream and yell and then wonder why you're mad a minute later. What the hell are you doing, you idiot? You want to have lunch? It was really like that.
Where will he fight us? You don't mean to fight you no place, Lieutenant. He only means to kill you.
Westerns were so part of, I think, your growing up in terms of what you were exposed to on television. Were there favorite shows besides, of course, Clue as Billy the Kid on the Tall Man?
Oh, yeah. Well, I grew up on all of the Warner Brothers Westerns, Cheyenne and, Sugarfoot and, Bronco even, and all of them. I really...
That's what we used to say back then, even Bronco. I'm even watching Bronco.
Tearing across the Texas plain. Bronco,
that's how he got his name.
Yeah. I loved going back to the older Westerns and stuff that I did. There was a TV series called Heck Ramsey if you remember, with Richard Boone. And I had a wonderful time on that because as a kid, I used to have my Fanner 50. You remember the Fanner 50s we all had as kids? Well, I used to draw on him every time, Have Gun Will Travel. I practiced drawing on him all the time. So I finally had to work with Mr. Boone towards the end of his life. And I had this scene in which he stood to me and he says, "What kind of a thing are you, Josh?" And all I could see was this 20-foot nose coming at me. And I just couldn't remember a line to save my ass. I was Harry Morgan was directing, and Harry Morgan was a good friend of Danny Mann, who had directed Willard. Now, during the course of Willard, I had done a scene one time and I had blown a lot of lines and he was driving me crazy. And I was in the men's room and crying over my dead rat. And he was saying, "I don't know what you think of, but think of the Nazis," or something. And I'd say, "Just get out of here." And I slammed my lid on the toilet lid. I said, "There, I'm ready. Shoot, shoot, shoot." So that happened about 10 years earlier. So I'm in the middle of this scene with Boone, and he said, "What kind of a thing are you, Josh?" And his breath was blowing me off the train tracks anyway. And I couldn't remember a word, and I blew like 4 or 5 takes, and Harry Morgan, bless his heart, came up to me and said, "Can I get you a toilet lid?" So be careful, because things follow you for years, whatever you do. And I got to work with Jeanette Nolan, who was a wonderful actress in that, and to meet John McIntyre and all of the family during that time, too.
Yeah,
So
Jeanette was such a great radio actress also.
she was wonderful, and I got her to actually be in a student film that a young student maker by the name of Randall Kleiser was making, called Peach, at the time, and he was rooming with George Lucas at USC, and they were making their little independent student films together. It was a film called Peach, about his grandmother in the last days of her life, and it's now in the Library of Congress.
Well, I know your fast draw practice with your Fanner 50 paid off later when you auditioned for How the West Was Won with Jim Arness.
Which Boxleitner got, of course. I made a big mistake going in there. I was a method actor from New York, and I thought, who else did I always draw on but James Arness, So I had a real gun by this time with a belt buckle, and I brought it in a brown paper bag. And during the course of the audition scene, the guy's supposed to take off a gun, strap it on, and there you go. So that's what I did with a real gun in an audition, and and Mr. Arness looked up to me and said, "Okay, yeah, man, thanks for coming in. Get him the hell out of here." Not to say you weren't the first choice always, anyway.
And another Western that a lot of people don't remember, but it was the twilight zone of Western films, Dead Man's Gun, that was shot up in Canada. Yes. You did one of those also.
Yes, I did. I had a bag full of rattlesnakes in that. That was a lot of fun. That I put a guy's head in.
Real rattlesnakes they used?
No, they had little bunny rattles or something, but it was supposed to scare the guy up. It was one of those, the wronged guy that has to go through jail and everything else. We shot in Vancouver, which was kind of strange living in Vancouver shooting a Western, but it was a lot of fun.
You're also in, not that we want to get off Westerns too much, but the X-Men films, and you've worked with Ian McKellen several times. Was not he great in Mr. Holmes?
Oh, he was wonderful. I just actually saw him for a party for Mr. Holmes, which is wonderful because he's playing 90 and he's playing 60 and losing his facilities, and the subtlety of his performance is, I think, breathtaking and brilliant, and I'm really sorry he wasn't nominated because he certainly deserved to be. But never underestimate the insecurity of an actor because I've even seen Mr. McKellen come apart when Bryan Singer started yelling at him. He says, "What's the matter? You forget how to act?" He says, "Oh, my God, maybe I have. I've been in my trailer. Don't talk to me like that, you dreadful boy."
It seems like if you look at his IMDb, he does 10 movies a year.
I have to. You know the way the business is now. You know, you got to do 5 for every one you used to.
Well, we appreciate you being here. ULZANA'S RAID holds up. It is one of the best films. It has so much meaning, beautifully shot. And Billy Burton, who worked on it, called this morning and he said to say hello.
Wow. Well, it was a wonderful time. I had the best time ever doing that film. It was the best time of my life at that time. And all those kids and all the old stunt men from going back to John Ford days who would sit around and say, so you got yourself an agent, son, mine's slicker now, shit on a sycamore limb, you know. And Richard Farnsworth was also someone that I wanted to mention because Dick was in that film having a 1 or 2 line part. And I met him years later. We used to stand in the unemployment line on a Thursday down in Hollywood. And he says, yeah, well, this will be the last one I'm collecting for a while. And Janie Fonda's giving me this great part. I got all these lines and everything. Wow. Which
Comes a Horseman.
Comes a Horseman, an Academy Award for him as Best Supporting Actor. So, but one thing I must leave with that happened in ULZANA'S RAID, there was an actor who they took away his one line. There were a couple of actors in it called that Robert Aldrich referred to as the La Cienega Players. And they took one actor's line away. He got really mad, really drunk, locked himself in the Tropicana Hotel and flooded the 2nd floor till they gave him his line back. And finally, when they gave him his line back, it was a shot where there were 10 cameras all set up all over the box. We all had to ride through, and we all had to stop where everybody's slaughtered. And he says, Lieutenant, I think somebody's moving under the wagon. And that was his line. So we started charging. All 10 cameras were running, and we all ran for a mile through the canyon, all the way through. And finally, we all got there and stopped, and he couldn't stop his horse. And he kept riding through, and over his shoulder he yells, Lieutenant, I think somebody's moving under the wagon. He rode out of the shop.
There's a lot of riding in that film. Had you ridden before?
Yes, I had, but Rudy Uglin threw me on a horse and made me stay with that. And I said, I like that horse. He says, no, you don't, son. You're going to be doing a lot of close-ups, and that horse will be all over the place. You won't be able to control it. So it was a wonderful time. And Patty Elder, I don't know if you remember Patty Elder, one of the great stunt women of all time, but all the boys coming back. I remember her walking along a 12-foot ledge on a wall. Everybody was pretty well crocked, and she just said, catch me, boys. All the stuntmen ran on her and grabbed her. I thought, wow, I've never seen anything like that in my life.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, and Bruce is an artist, too. He paints, and, you know.
I'll see you Saturday
I hope
sometime
so.
soon. Okay. Buddy.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.